Good morning, YouTube. Today is Tuesday, December 31st, 2019. I'm turn my phone this way. I'm sitting here with my little blanket over me, and I'm getting ready to get my day started. I'm having some coffee. I had a doctor's appointment this morning that I'm going to reschedule because I just really don't feel like spending the day sitting in a doctor's office. I'm going to go get in a walk and just try to spend a nice day enjoying the day. And I'm hoping to see some sun out there. I don't know if we're supposed to get any bad weather. But I had planned on doing a obligatory end of the year wrap up video. But before I can do that, I have to tell the final story about my narcissist for this year. And I don't want to go too much into the details about it because it would take way too long. But I'll just say that by pure accident, and I do mean by pure accident, there was nothing going on, there was no prying, there was no stalking or anything involved in this. It was just something that on social media, sometimes things pop up. And maybe, possibly, sometimes things are meant for you to see. We say to block the narcissist from social media and to go no contact, and that is the best policy if you want to rid yourself of that person, is to block them. But sometimes things work out to where they just show up anyway, whether it's on social media or in person. So without getting too much into the details, I'll just say that as of a week ago, just a little over a week, right before Christmas, through pure accidental click on a picture on a friend's social media, I see through the child of my ex, I see through a picture that involves them, some posts, some comments, and it piqued my interest, human curiosity. And I click on this, and there is a picture. I don't know who this woman is that's making these comments, so I click on her Facebook page, and there in the profile picture is my ex with this woman. And at first it was like I had entered into a parallel universe. I didn't know what. I'm like, what's it? Who is this? What is this? I was very confused. Of course, it didn't take me but a second to realize, as I start curiously looking through her social media account, all these pictures of the two of them together. There are pictures of him by himself. There are pictures of the two of them. They're embracing. They're kissing. And she has posted that she's in a relationship with him. Now, this is nothing big. This is no big news, except for the fact that at least 10 or 12 days. I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt and say 12 days. But it was really more like 10. He's still living with the other woman, the woman that he discarded me to be with. He's been with this woman. He's been with her since he discarded me, and that's been just over 3 years ago. And he was with her before me for many, many years. I don't know how many times he cheated on her and discarded her before myself. I didn't know about that until much later. But up until about 10 days before these photos were posted, he's still living with this woman. They're still together. And I want to point something out here. Narcissists lie. It's hard to believe anything that they say. Once you learn about their behavior, you start thinking back on things they've told you, and you realize it was all lies. But I will say this for my ex. He was consistent in one thing that he told me. One thing he told me over and over again throughout the time that I knew him was after the discard, and he and I stayed in contact for a few weeks. We were still kind of, in my mind, we were still trying to work out our relationship. In his mind, he was just hoovering me and getting what he could get out of me before he, finally just went on ahead and turned his back. But from that day forward, every time I spoke to him after that, he was consistent in one thing, was that he did not love the mother of the child, and that as soon as that child was old enough that he no longer had a financial obligation for child support and that type of thing, he was going to leave this woman. He didn't want to be with her. They had nothing in common. He had no desire to be with her. They treated each other poorly. And I believe that. I've had people, without goading anyone or trying to find out anything about this woman, I've had people, as soon as they learned that he and I were seeing each other, I've had people tell me what a, unpleasant person she is, and how she's very toxic and dramatic. And I came to find that out on my own, that the two of them thrive. They fed off of each other's toxicity. They fed off of each other's dramas. And I was just glad that I got away from it. But the last time that I spoke with him, which was only at Halloween, which was basically 6 or 7 weeks before this, and I believe he was trying to give me a chance. He told me when I had a run-in with him one day, and I sat and I was having a conversation with him. And I talk about this in my video. There's 2 videos on here that I encourage you to watch to get the backstory about this. The first one is titled Near Miss. And the second one is titled, I think it's The Answer Was Always There, or The Answer Was Inside, something like that. And you'll kind of get a little bit of backstory about where I'm going with this, but about this new supply, the emotions that I went through. The first emotion was confusion. I was like, who is this woman? Where did she come from? Has he been seeing her all along? Was he seeing her when he was with me? Did he know her before me? Is she recycled? Or is she brand new supply? And then I was shocked when I found out that he had been, basically the way it looks is like that he's living in her home with her. And he was just living with the other woman 10 days earlier. And I know narcissists move fast, but I know in the back of my mind and in my heart that he was seeing her long before he moved in with her. He was seeing her long before he left. He was setting her up for the new supply. He was putting in place his new life before he left his old life. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in my next video, because I want to go into some thoughts. I want to share some thoughts I have on this. But the next emotion that I had after the shock value of it all wore off, because I don't know why I was so shocked, because I knew eventually this was going to happen. I knew eventually he would leave this woman, because he had no... I know that's the one thing he always told me, and that's the only thing that he ever told me that I really believed. But then I started having these irrational feelings, confused feelings about him, and why her? Why not me? Why couldn't he have been with me? Why couldn't I have been the one that he went to restaurants with and posted photos of? Why wasn't I the one riding around with him in his truck? And why wasn't I the one that was wearing the engagement ring? I forgot to to mention that part. And she posted this picture of this big, huge, gaudy looking, over the top, overkill engagement ring. It's like something you would see in a, I guess what you might call like a Hollywood movie engagement ring. But I wasn't jealous over the engagement ring because I happened to have one of my own that I just got recently, and you know, my life was moving along swimmingly and things were going good for me, and I'm happy. I've been with this same man for a while now, and things are going good between us, and it's time to take that next leap, and we didn't rush into it, and so I couldn't understand where these feelings were coming from. You know, why was I feeling like I was feeling like I had just been discarded all over again. I started remembering the pain that I went through. I started remembering the burden that I carried for so long, the embarrassment and the shame that he put me through. I started remembering how sick I was and how depressed. And I just went through all those emotions all over again. It was like that stab in my heart all over again. And I hadn't felt that way when he had left me to go back to the mother of the child, because I felt like I was doing the right thing by not fighting for him to stay with me then. I felt like I was making a sacrifice, and he made me feel that way. He led me to believe that. He groomed me to believe that the two of us were making this huge sacrifice. And he always kept that kind of dangling over me over the years that when he would try to contact me and we would speak, he would always dangle that apple over me and say, you know, I didn't really ever want us to break up. You were always the one I really wanted to be with. I tried to get you to stay with me, but what he wanted was for me to stay as a side thing, so he could go back and live this life with the child and the mother of the child and not have to pay child support and not have to give up his home and make it look like the good, doting, dutiful father who stayed in the relationship and stayed in the home with the child and didn't walk off and abandon the child and keep me as a thing on the side. And I wouldn't have that. I didn't want that. I didn't go into the relationship with him thinking that I was a side thing, and I wasn't going to be that. And I think that really threw him off, because he's probably used to cheating with women, and he's probably used to women really just begging to keep him in their life. But by the time this all took place, I had heard a lot of stuff, and I was really just tired. I was weak and tired and sick. So when I found out that he has this new supply, all that thoughts, all those emotions come back to me. And I was confused about it. Why do I care? Why do I feel this way? Why is this like a freak show to me? And I remember watching a video from one of the people that I follow on YouTube, Narcology Unscripted. And he's talking about how when they get with a new supply, they're all over social media. And that never happened with the mother of the child. There was never any pictures of the two of them together. There was never any mention of, maybe they might tell each other happy birthday or something of that nature. But for the last year, almost, probably close to the last year, I would say 9 to 10 months, he's been blocked on my social media. So, but you know, people, you know, I went and unblocked him after I found out about this, because I'm seeing her side of the story. So my curiosity got the best of me, and I unblocked him because I wanted to see what's on his page. And he's got the picture of the two of them on his profile picture. He's got a picture of the engagement ring. He's got a picture of the... But here's something that stood out to me. In all the pictures that she posted of the two of them, there are two pictures that really caught my eye. There's one picture where they're holding the camera up and they're doing like a selfie. And he's smiling. And that's a mask I've never seen him wear before. He's just not, that's just not him. He's putting on an act. He's wearing a mask. But in one picture, he's smiling and you see his eyes. And I'm looking at his eyes. And his eyes and his face don't match. You know, the smile on his face is not in his eyes. He's distant. He's not there. He's feigning it. He's faking it. There's another picture that she posted where he's kind of not looking at the camera. You can see his face, but he's kind of looking down. And knowing him the way that I do, when I look at that face, when I saw that, I saw the real face. Because if he was looking straight at her, he would have been smiling, the camera, the mask. But he's looking down, he's looking at his food or whatever it is that he's got in front of him. And he's not there. You know, the mask is not there. It's the real face. And you can just kind of see his expression. And it's like he's thinking. And it's like he's focused on his next thought. And so when I started looking at that, it kind of started clearing things up for me. And I realized the emotions that I had were normal. When I started watching the videos on YouTube, I went in and I typed in new supply. And when you find out they have new supply and etc. And I watched several videos and everyone's telling the same thing. Everyone goes through that same emotion. Confusion and jealousy and these irrational, why not me thoughts. Why wasn't I good enough? Why didn't I get, why did they why were they ashamed of me? Is why they didn't post me all over social media. Or if they did, why did they, jump from one to the next so quickly? Why didn't they? What did I do wrong? Why couldn't I hold on to them? You're going to feel that way. If you've never had this happen to you yet, you will eventually. Because there'll come a day when they will want the world to see them. So when I saw him plastered all over social media with this big smile on his face, it sent me for a loop. And once I started watching the videos and hearing other people's thoughts and how they felt when they went through this, I realized it's a natural reaction. It doesn't mean I still want him. It doesn't mean I'm in love with him or that I think I can salvage anything with him. It doesn't mean that I want to run back to that. That's part of the reason why they do this. Part of the reason why narcissists will get on social media and post all these happy pictures of these adventures and these trips with this new person and the jewelry and whatever else is to try to draw people out of the hiding places, I'm not the only woman that and he's just wanting to see how many of those he can draw out. How many of those will text him and say, hey, who's this new woman you're with? Why are you all over social media when a week ago you were texting me wanting to get together? Or a month ago, or 6 months ago. So, or they will reach out to you if you still have access to them out there. And if you haven't gone through this yet, when this does happen to you, and hopefully it will happen. They will move on. They may move on several times. But they will continue to hoover you eventually. They'll show back up. don't confuse the feelings that you will feel. Don't confuse jealousy, and don't think that just because you feel that way that it means you want them back or you want to go back to that life. As you're thinking about why not me and remembering back to when you were together and the things that they promised you and the lies that they told you, remember how you felt when you started learning about it. Remember how you felt when you started to recover. Remember how good it felt when you finally started to let them go. And remember that you would rather feel that. You would rather feel happy. You would rather feel relief. You would rather feel that lifted burden off of your shoulders than you would want to go back to feel abused and lied to and cheated on and kicked around. And once they know that each time you allow contact, each time you speak with them, they treat you a little worse. And eventually they're just going to stop playing. They're going to stop pretending. And they're just going to treat you very horribly. And you don't want to go back to that. You don't want to be that. You know when you see them with this new supply, this new person is on cloud 9. This woman, and I'll get into this. This is another part of this. I'm going to talk about a post that she made that was like an ironic, for me it was very ironic. But I'll get back into that a little bit more. And I just want to say thank you for watching. Once again, the message of this video is for anyone who finds out that their ex is with new supply, don't take those feelings. You will have personal feelings of jealousy, and you'll feel confused, and you'll go back and you'll revisit that whole relationship in your head. Don't get that confused with love. Don't get that confused with wanting them back. Just know that there's nothing wrong with you for feeling that way. It's human nature. And just let them go on and just know that I don't take any satisfaction. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little hoarse. I don't take any satisfaction in knowing that this woman is going to go through this. She's going to go through it. I went through it. The ex went through it. Numerous other women have gone through it. And she's next. And I don't take any pleasure or satisfaction in knowing that. But there's nothing I can do to prevent that from happening. It's not my place to save the rest of the world. I couldn't save her if I tried because she's too love-bombed. And all I can do is go on with my own life. All you can do is go on with your own life. And know that they're going to cut a path of destruction throughout the rest of their lives while they're alive on this earth. And you can't save everybody. Nobody could save you. Anybody who tried to intervene or step in and warn you and tell you, you wouldn't listen to them. You know you wouldn't. You thought this was the best thing since hot butter on toast. You thought this guy or this woman is God sent to me. And I'll get into that a little bit in my next video. But thank you for watching. I'm sorry I dragged this on for so long. I just wanted to put that message out there that feeling that way about finding out they're with new supply doesn't mean that you want them back. It doesn't mean you may want that feeling back that you had when you first met them. But you know it's fake, and you know it wasn't real. And you know that what you're seeing on social media and these pictures, and if you see them out together, you know it isn't real for them. You know the narcissist is wearing a mask. So I just thank everybody for listening and taking the time, and I'm sorry I dragged on for so long. Like and comment, and share your own story if you feel like it. And thanks again for watching.